So the title of this video is not misleading, because I can assure you everything has changed again. The arc that we have been following for the last 2 years at this point, the ninja arc, or whatever they're going to call it officially, is being retconned yet again. Yes, it has already been retconned before, as I'm sure some of you are already painfully aware, and I think this might be the first time that this has ever happened. At least as far as I have been covering this series, which has been about 6 years, I think, at this point. I don't remember something being retconned twice. So I'll go into why I think this is happening towards the end of the video, but for now, let me explain what's going on to you guys, because I know it's confusing. I know it's been difficult being a fan of the One Punch Man manga lately, and I don't blame you if you're getting to the point of where you feel like you want to drop it or whatever. I get it. Obviously, I don't recommend that. We're just in a rough patch right now. We will eventually get through it, and I think things will be brighter on the other side. So we were currently on chapter 211, where I guess we were kind of coming to the climax of the battle between Blast and Empty Void, and we saw what Empty Void's big goal was. It was to use God's powers that he gave him to make like his own army of cosmic beings using that power to turn against God. So if that was chapter 211, we're going all the way back to chapter 195 yet again. And I think that was November or October of 2023. So we're going back in time about 1.25 years at this point. And everything that has happened since then is being changed. So everything with Empty Void showing up with the Dimension Slash at the Hero Association and Blast having to save it with his singularity powers, and Empty Void sucking up Garo's power after he was defeated by Saitama, and the big crazy cosmic battles and over the topness that was happening, and the whole backstory with Empty Void's sister being Blast's wife. All of that stuff is erased at this point. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be erased forever. We don't really know at this point. I do think a lot of that will remain, but I think it's going to be condensed possibly. But like I said, I'll go into that more a little bit later, because we have to talk about the present in chapter 195, the new version of 195. So it is being slightly altered in itself. The previous new chapter 195 that we got last year showed us the introduction of the Tenito, or the Heavenly Ninja Party, the guys that are working under Empty Void, trying to facilitate his resurrection while recruiting Sonic in a plan to take out both Flashy Flash and Blast. That is all staying the same. They are still doing that, and they're still introduced here. However, they're getting a little more characterization in this new version. So aside from that, Flashy Flash, Saitama, and Monako are still coming to the Hero Association to meet up with Blast. This is happening after Saitama and Flashy Flash had their big training exercise sparring match thing. Then afterwards, they responded to a monster threat with Genos, and that's when Sonic showed up, and we got the big reunion between Sonic and Flashy Flash. Then after, they went to go find Monako because she was missing, and they easily found her, and this was of course for Flashy Flash to ask her about God. This trio was introduced to God in the Monster Association arc when they accidentally picked up the cube at the bottom of the Monster Association. So after the questioning leads to essentially nothing, they figure that they have to go to the Hero Association to talk to Blast directly. And once they do, in a big comedic surprise, Sitch is like, oh yeah, Blast is right here, why don't you talk to him? And in the first retconned meeting, it was a pretty amicable encounter. But now in this new version, Flashy Flash goes right after Blast, gets behind him, and then Blast immediately gets behind him. We already saw this happen, of course, in their very first meeting, but I guess Flashy Flash needed to confirm that he is in fact inferior to Blast. Then they just go on to talk about things that we already know. The Ninja Village, Empty Void, the leader of it, how he's coming back, how he has a history with Blast, and how he's going to need Flashy Flash's help to ultimately take him down. We're getting new artwork, of course, and we're also finding out that Sonic and Flashy Flash were in the Ninja Village previously, previously, and that they had found a cube, and that they had actually saw Empty Void in his recovery tank as well. And this conversation actually lasts much longer than it originally did, and it ultimately ends with Flashy Flash realizing that he is not at the above dragon level, essentially, because he does some literal power scaling in his mind, which we're seeing for the first time, other than it just being implied that he is at this level. As he said before, we're seeing it just straight out. Saitama defeats Garo, Garo defeats Platinum S, and Platinum S defeats Flashy Flash. And that's where the chapter ends. Now, what's really interesting is what was removed from the first retcon of chapter 195, and that is Sitch and Blast talking about Saitama, and how he was the one who actually defeated Garo, and that Blast couldn't see a bottom to his power at all. And they need to find out, what's going on with him. And going further, they were like, if we try to restrain him, Genos, Demon Cyborg, he might get involved. And then they further talk about how the crisis with God and Garo was averted, but that doesn't mean that it's over, and that Blast feels that there's a greater threat than Garo coming. Now, I don't know if that's completely being removed, but I don't mind that they're removing the whole part about Saitama here, because I would like for them to be suspicious of him later on. And that pretty much wraps it up. And according to Murata, we're going to have the new retcon chapter after this, 196, next week, instead of having to wait 2 weeks like we normally do. So that's good, I guess. Now, as for why I think they're retconning all of this yet again, well, I think it's because they feel that they can just make this ultimately better than what it was. More condensed, not needing as many pages and chapters to tell the story that they want, and they might clean up Empty Void's backstory a little bit, with Luna and Blast and all of that stuff. Again, I've said this before, it doesn't really matter that these new Tonari updates are getting retconned and whatnot, because they're not released in the volumes yet. Still have like another year or two before these chapters make it to the volume. So once they do, of course, then that will be sealed. That is canon for sure, but until then, we're just literally seeing rough copies of the chapters. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Mech Japan. Mech Japan is an online store that sells products from major Japanese franchises like One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and many more. Because they have over 30,000 high-quality products straight from Japan, you're going to be able to find rare or even very rare Japanese products exclusively on MechJapan.com. And the best part is that they have great prices, offer worldwide shipping, and have an awesome customer service team that's very responsive and available to assist you in English. I recently picked up this Soul Master statue of Slifer the Sky Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! This thing looks amazing, and I'm so happy to add it to my collection. In fact, so much of my collection is from Mech Japan. I've gotten so many great things from them, and you can too. So guys, you can get some awesome anime or Japanese products for yourself by checking the link in the description, and make sure you use my code Zhoniin10, because you'll get $10 off any order over $100, and that's once per user. So yeah, I hope this helped, and let me know what you think about all this in the comments, guys. And if you liked the video, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.